Welcome to Good to Geek Out. Good place to go to geek out. Here with two of my brothers, two originators, kind of covering something that got us started in the first place with all of this stuff. Mandalorian, covering season 2, episode 1, technically chapter 9 in the series. Editor San Antonio. What up, fellas? Let's do this.
Rob Lucy coming at you from Phoenix, Oregon, fresh out of the fire, and happy to be here. Also happy to be here with my good friends and brothers from another mothers, and excited to talk about The Mandalorian.
Hello, this is Boba Fresh reporting to you live from San Francisco. What we will bring to you today will shock and amaze you as we dive deep into the lore of George Lucas's creation, Disney's property, and our universe, The Mandalorian.
Ooh, I got chills.
All right. Chapter 9, The Marshal. Oh, wow. It starts off pretty badass, right? Walking. It's no different than anything from season 1. Walking in somewhere, not sure if he's going to get out, looking for information or looking for something. Right off the bat, we get to see some Gamorrean guards fighting. You never see them move, ever. They just look tough and stand around, and they're fighting each other. Their axes apparently have some kind of sonic amplifier cutting through the air. I don't know what's going on. What'd you guys think about the intro right into the fight?
I thought it was dope. Let's see. I believe that when the opening scroll had finally passed by and we enter the cinematic landscape, I got the feel of spaghetti western being recalled as perhaps a few dollars more type feel of the man with no name coming into town. And I really savored the flavor of how rough and dirty this town was, as opposed to our overly cluttered Coruscants or our dusty back alley Tatooine Mos Eisley bars. This place had a more urban, broke down feel with graffiti lining the walls, some of them political, it would seem. Some of them droid-based, some of them seemed like clones or something. And I feel that the way the atmosphere was set prior to them entering the establishment with all of this action all of a sudden taking place, Gamorrean guards with, those were called vibro axes. And they vibrate at a high frequency that theoretically cuts between molecules. They apparently had some form of personal protective shields around them that deflected the dangerous blades from piercing their green Gamorrean hides. I was entertained.
Lucy, you want to follow it?
Yeah, sure. I'm going to try to keep it real. Just walking down the street there, I thought it was very Blade Runner-esque, or if you're talking Coruscant, like the lower levels of Coruscant, almost like a dystopian, obviously post-Empire universe or galaxy where you have the stormtroopers and the clones, their faces are crossed out. Really did enjoy, the graffiti that they put on the wall. Interesting observation that I had when he talked to, I have in my Gor Koresh, when he asks, I don't think this is any place for a child. And then the Mandalorian goes where I go, and he goes, I've heard. So his reputation is definitely out there, which plays out later in some episodes, I'm sure. But just the whistling birds come out again, yes. And he had mentioned he doesn't take chances with his bets, so he gave the guy the opportunity. He knew he was probably being set up for an ambush, but he went in anyway because he's so hungry for that information.
Lucy, you know who the voice of Gor Koresh was?
I've heard it. You remind me, Ed, please, and our viewers.
The Freak, right? Was that his movie that did shitty?
The Freak. You're John Leguizamo, I believe, is who you're thinking.
Oh,
did you
the
get
Violator from Spawn. Yes.
Okay.
Yes, John Leguizamo, the Violator response. Hey, to John Leguizamo. I really do like John Leguizamo. Some very iconic roles.
I think that the way that they nailed it was dope. The way that Gore had set up hey, let's make this bet. I bet this guy doesn't make it the next minute, and then shoots him. Shows the way that he doesn't take chances, with the odds always being something that he's calculating in his favor. And in some way, we see that Mando is doing the same thing. Mando walks into these places, and we're always like, why do you have the kid with you? But then you're like, well, where else is he going to leave the kid, though? You know, that's a safe place. And so when he says the kid this isn't a place for a kid, and he's like, well, the kid's seen worse. And then we just think about all of last season. Yeah. We're just like, one of the interesting things that I did think also with that interaction was when he was like, your Beskar steals become so much harder to find since you Mandalorians have gone into hiding. And so he's implied that he's like taken Beskar armor from other people. And so I'm surprised that at the end, when he makes the deal to let him live, but leaves him to the elements, as it were, which was super dope. It reminds me of The Simpsons. For insurance purposes, the ocean will kill you, not us. But why he didn't interrogate him more in regards to the armor that he got, or punish him specifically for attacking Mandalorians. Ed, what do you think about that?
I mean, I like the poetic way he was describing taking the Beskar from him, like almost like he was a sheep for his wool, or almost like the reverse of a crab. You know what I mean? Like you want what's inside the crab, not the shell. But the way he said peel it off you, like it's just I don't know. It gave me like a different interpretation of the way they look at a Mandalorian. You think a Mandalorian walks in the room and they're like, oh, this Mandalorian's gonna kill somebody, or he's here for business or whatever. This is the other, like another insight of the way people look at them, is like, oh, I'm gonna rob this guy and just make some money off his carcass, not his carcass, but the shell that has, that's around him. I do also think it's a testament to this episode that we haven't even got to the opening credits yet, and we've been talking about it for 5 minutes.
It was a hot, cold open.
It sure was, just like SNL.
So back to Tatooine, our first revisit in the second season to a character or an ally from the first season. I thought it was nice, and it also showed, I thought, which was kind of poignant after I can't remember the assassin or the bounty hunter droids distinction, but he's gone soft on the droids. He's like, it's okay, let the droids work on my ship. I thought that was a big change for the Mandalorian, where the whole first season until the bounty hunter droid saves him. Like, hey, let's get some information. Now we have a secret city or a secret mining camp on Tatooine, and we move forward. It was just a nice little revisit from that first episode or first season.
I agree with you. I think that showing, like, how do people grow? Now, obviously, like in this arc, you want him to grow. And so one way to show it is that he's obviously become, close with the child. But in this Western, in the parallel of the whole Western concept, obviously our droids are stand-in for either Native Americans or perhaps Blacks or Mexicans or whatever would have been in the John Wayne genre of the people that we end up working with and we really rub elbows and we're going to be able to, and they're not that bad of people. So him showing like this acceptance of droids, like, oh, like, don't go work on his ship, he's gonna beat you. And so like he kind of grows past that. And that is a beautiful foreshadowing to the unity that ends up becoming such a linchpin in the story later, of people who were opposed to each other working together for a greater cause.
All right, so back to Ripley Simmons. That's what I call her. Pelimato, I think. We used to call her Ripley Simmons in season 1 because she looks like Ripley from Aliens and Richard Simmons if they had a kid together. So Mos Pelgo is where Jin Jardin's information leads him. He leaves the baby, of course, with her. And you get to this Western town, and man, you want to talk about spaghetti Western 101. Jesus Christ. Go ahead. You guys talk about that before the Crate Dragon.
It was the first time that I was like, these sets look cheap. And of course, like that's what they're hitting on. They're hitting on that, just this shabbily, quickly, hastily constructed pod town. But yeah, they do a great job with like, this is the main street and there are no side streets. And this is how everything happens. And so, yeah, everything up into the walk into the saloon, I thought it was a great callback to shots in cinema from spaghetti westerns. I agree with you.
Yeah, so I was watching it, and I tried to stay away from some of the trailers and some of the prequels and some of the chatter, but like anticipating Boba Fett come in, and as soon as that guy, he opens up the swinging doors and walks in with the sun behind him a little bit, and you're like, is this going to be Boba Fett? He takes a couple steps, and you're like, it's not Boba Fett, and then they walk and they sit down at the table. Then he takes off the helmet, and you're like, oh, this guy's not a Mandalorian. What's going on here? And as Rob likes to put it, he has that like Machiana moment where the Crate Dragon basically saves the marshal's life by rolling through town, and they all stop, and it's like, yeah, we can make a deal. But great intro to that character, and a great character.
Yeah,
I do have a few issues with him, but
I mean, I like the way the armor didn't sit right on him, so you immediately
right.
It wasn't Boba Fett, and the way it always kind of sits off. It's almost like your little brother wearing your sweatshirt. You know what I mean? Like he never looks like the tough guy that Mando is, and you always get that like juxtaposition. And you know what Boba Fett looks like in the armor, so I mean,
yeah, I thought he really harkened to like a Clint Eastwood style, like draw, like the gun hanging down at the side, hip cocked over, and obviously I think that was the look that they were going for. And wonderful character. My only problem with that character was, he gets the armor after the mining consortium comes back, and I'm skipping ahead a little bit. And does the armor automatically make him like a amazing fighter where he can take out like a squad of thugs from the mining consortium, and he knows how to use this rocket intuitively? Is that how good this armor is? My one issue with the entire episode. But
maybe the helmet gives some kind of interface. I don't know.
Yeah, the helmet does have a interface. You actually see the interface happen when he
when it lowers
locks in on the thing. I agree. I assume that it's just like anyone picking up an iPhone and being like, well, like I don't have to like know how to download every app to shoot a flamethrower. Like this is the flamethrower app right here. Like, okay, boop, boop, got it.
Also, shout out to the Crate Dragon's lore in Star Wars.
Oh yeah.
It is the skeleton from Star Wars, the first movie that they see in the desert when they're when R2 and C-3PO are walking along. Did you know it's also the scream that Obi-Wan makes before you first see him? And that is the most changed noise George Lucas has made through every iteration when he revamps it. That is the one thing he has changed the most, is the sound of the Crate Dragon screaming.
One point of interest I thought was really cool as far as an Easter egg goes is the Marshal's speeder. The engine looks identical to Anakin Skywalker's Speed Racer engine.
Correct. Tatooine.
It's on Tatooine.
Yeah. I thought that
Tatooine seems to be really, it's not Coruscant. Tatooine has to be the center of the Star Wars galaxy.
The pod racer annoyed me. and not the design, not the concept of it, the fact that it looks so close to Anakin's, and in a universe, this show has been so good about not forcing coincidences like the Clone Wars did. Like every Clone Wars had like, I've got a bad feeling about this. Like every Clone Wars episode had to have like someone do something from the show. Like someone had to know someone from the movie. Like they were so obsessed with tying things in with canon. And this is the first thing that I felt was beyond fan service and was kind of like, oh, by the way, you're on Tatooine, this huge planet. And this one guy who has Boba Fett's armor, which is coincidence enough. That's coincidence enough. Also happens to have the pod racer engine. Like that, it was, like I said, it was the first time for me that they pushed the bar on cheapening the lore with fan service.
So Tusken Raiders. Don't call them sand people. That's racist. Tusken Raiders. Man, they get a face. The real, well, not literally, but they metaphorically get a face. I mean, there's so many little things that they do. The way they like protect each other, the way they care for their animals, their concern for like just, history. They have language. They have emotions you can see, and they're always delegated to this like you said, Strutter, like this third party savage quote unquote, and they're not, and they deliberately make you see who they are.
It was beautifully done from the initial ambush in the canyon, which is a great scene. I mean, the show is always great with the settings and the scenes that they decide to pick in, but I thought that was phenomenal. It was cool that they used this old Mastiff from the old episodes with Anakin, and they kept the bad CGI kind of look to them. Like they're the first things that also were CGI that would like look lumpy, like looked. So it's funny that they kind of kept that consistency. But as soon as he starts speaking and just like that interaction and that tension, this show does that so well. I thought it was a great scene to develop. And when they go back to the camp and they're exchanging their customs and their strange ways, and you gotta drink this, like to have to manifest a MacGuffin, a symbol of them understanding and accepting each other. Yeah, like it was great writing.
And that you see him later drinking that, like right before they're about to attack. He's not even thinking about it. He's just sipping it like it's nothing.
Right.
No.
Yeah, it shows some acceptance of each other's cultures at that point in time.
Yep.
For sure.
What is it when you
Planning,
gotta move a story along really quick and use music?
The montage was amazing.
Yeah, so
the montage was amazing.
You get a quick montage of them packing up, doing everything. A little scuffle in between because the tensions are high. But I don't know if you guys noticed, as soon it's at a little bit after the 40-minute mark, as soon as the fight's about to start and they have all of the explosive planted and they bring the crate dragon out, it goes to 16:9 letterbox. It goes full screen. And then you can see the dragon, you see everything. And I didn't realize it until I think the third time I saw it. And man, it really does capture the whole fight and that whole last 15 minutes in a way that it wouldn't have. And I thought it was just really cool that they had the insight, the wherewithal to do that. And then Lucy, when you said, we need to cover this episode separately, and it's almost like a movie unto itself, like that.
Well, there's a distinct 3 acts to this.
Oh, for sure. And that's the beginning of the third one right there.
Mm-hmm. Like amazing climax to an amazing episode. The way that they work together, the crate dragon, they think they're going to beat it. They have it beat, and they're like, no, we don't have it beat. And then obviously with the Mandalorian going inside the belly of the dragon, to finish it off.
No metaphor there.
One thing for the crate dragon, which I absolutely love, spitting the acid. So like in lieu of fire, they used the acid as the You know, the analogy to the fire, and just watching him melt, you know, the melt people in front of him was just amazing. I was just on the edge of my seat.
Yep. I mean, I looked up Dank Farrik, and it meant thank God, possibly, in the comic book, but it sounded like the way he used it in this episode was like, God damn.
Dank Farrik. I got that dank. Yeah, I think that the way that they had switched the film, I think that when they switched to the cinematic style, it was the only way that you could truly understand how huge and enormous the crate was. But you also understood how huge and enormous the stakes were for our people also. We can see the layout of everyone together, working. And again, you know, phenomenal place with these dunes and everything's just like in this canyon, and the way the crate dragon swims through the sand and then swims through the stone, and you're like, what? This thing is swimming through stone. Just phenomenal. Jaws, Godzilla, you know, whatever analogy, like we said before in last episode, like we said before in last season, every episode ends up being this homage to some other subgenre within the film. And I do feel like they end up going Jaws or The Meg. If you have not seen The Meg yet, I cannot recommend it enough. I've literally watched it 3 or 4 times, and I do not watch a lot of movies 3 or 4 times.
But when you see that dragon collapse and the way Mando just like is barely landing when it hits the floor like that, man, that's I'm getting a little goosebumps thinking about it right now. And I mean, then we just get the Boba Fett reveal, which is kind of anticlimactic to me.
No, not for me.
Yeah,
I don't think it's anticlimactic at all.
Take him to school.
Also, the Great Dragon Pearl, which there's some significance there.
But I do think that it was really cool that they ended up doing this otherly reveal, where not only do the analogy of the Native Americans to the Tusken Raiders, like not only do they use every bit of the Krayt Dragon as they harvest its meat and its bones, and you know, like that's where it's their huts are made out of, and all these other things. But then they give you the pearl, which shows you this extra reveal. So we're not grossed out like, oh, like look at those like lowly people. Like they have like this item, and whatever it ends up being in canon, the fact that they make any kind of gesture and nod to the lore is, I think, really cool.
In fact, I had to look something up. I don't look things up too often. I was like, what the fuck is that?
No, Boba Fett. I thought Boba Fett, watching him ride his speeder bike across the sand was pretty poignant, because now we know Boba Fett made it out of the Sarlacc. You know, that is now canon. It's always been a rumor.
Oh,
his armor's there.
That's true.
And it's like, did he rock it out of it? Somehow he made it out of the Sarlacc, and now we know he's officially still alive on Tatooine. Well, you know, I think if it's Boba Fett, and if Boba Fett would have known the Marshal had his armor at some point in time, so Boba Fett could have taken the Marshal out anytime he wanted and taken his armor back if that's what he wanted to do.
Yeah, so
that's obviously an assumption of mine, but
no, you make a good point, and I think that's what the big mystery ends up being out of.
Yeah, what, you know, did he just go into retirement? Is he done? Was he, you know? It's unanswered questions, but that's why we love watching this. Hey, maybe those questions will be answered down the road.
Was Boba Fett one of the, because we see that he has a gaffy stick, he has one of the Tusken gaffy sticks, so was Boba Fett one of the Tusken Raiders, and he was in the scene the entire time? Was he hiding out? And we're going to find out this reveal that, and we're going to look back and be like, oh, that's the guy that was Boba Fett right there, man.
It's funny because I remember watching it for the first time and being happy that they didn't use all their tricks at once, so to speak. But now talking about it, it seems like they might have used a few more than they needed to. Close it out. Editor San Antonio, episode 2 coming to you soon. What do we have? Geek Out on Facebook.
Electrodes. That's the secret, people. That's the future.
That is. No doubt.
Boba Fresh from San Francisco. Great hanging out, talking to the people. If you enjoy our material, maybe like it. Maybe subscribe. We don't have a Patreon. We're not asking you for money. This shit's free. We're having fun. Come on. Kick in.
Hey, have some fun with us. I guess like, comment, subscribe. If you guys thought we missed something important, leave it in the comments. I'm sure one day I'll get around to reading them between work and raising kids and all that other stuff. But yeah, good to be back with my friends. Looking forward to reviewing episode 2 just next week. Episode 2 is going to be here.